Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is 7 Branch Candlesticks and I'm Lee. Next to me is my other half, Tiffany. How you doing, Tiffany?
Good. I'm messing this up.
She gets kind of camera shy. That's okay, because I can edit it. That's the power of editing.
You're right. Once the camera goes on, I get nervous.
It does. It happens to everybody. You see how Nick froze the other day?
Mm-hmm.
Nick, this is for you. You froze, bro. You froze bad. Everybody saw it. You can't hide it. It's already out there in YouTube land. So today we're talking about how Tiffany became a Seventh-day Adventist. And we're going to talk about, a little bit of her religious history. And we're just going to see how her journey through life brought her to the Adventist church.
Okay.
So Tiffany, why don't you tell me about a little bit of your history? Like, where did you grow up and where did you go to church as a kid?
I went to church in California. I went to a few different churches, but mostly Salvation Army Church in Victorville is where I mostly went to church.
And what denomination is that?
Non-denominational.
What was it like? How were the people? How was the service? And what was so much different there than the Adventist church?
Well, we went on Sundays, not Saturdays, so that was different, but I enjoyed it. I went, to camp there through their church for many years. I went on Sundays, so not Saturdays, and on Wednesdays.
What was their camp like? We have a camp program that's kind of like that. Well, they do it through the Pathfinders at the Adventist church. But what was the camp like?
It was in San Diego, kind of up in the mountains, not off the beach or anything like that, but up in the mountains. And there was different kinds of camps, like music camps, cooking camps.
When you went to church on Sundays, what was the service like as opposed to the service at the Adventist church?
For me, one of the biggest things is it was a lot bigger, the one I went to on Sundays, because the church we go to now, I like it actually better because it's smaller and you kind of get to talk to people better in a way.
Yeah, a little more personable.
Yeah.
Was there differences in music and
kind of it was a lot more formal and like everybody dressed up kind of in, I don't want to say like costumes, but like everybody dressed up and it was kind of like a lot of pressure to look good there,
So it was a little more formal than the Adventist church?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's kind of surprising to hear because I've always thought everybody in the Adventist church dressed up nicely. But hey, I guess we're a bunch of bums.
No.
I'm just joking.
No, it's stop. No, because they wear like the captain uniforms. You know what I'm talking about? Or no?
Yeah.
They dress like captains.
Well, I'm just joking. I don't know what you're talking about at all. Dressed like captains of what?
I don't know. Stop.
Like boating captains? Like captains of a ship? I'd love to see that.
There was like rankings, like you were a captain or you were.
Oh, Salvation Army. That makes Salvation Army. Okay, I had forgotten that you had said Salvation Army. So when I was just trying to think, like, why are they dressing up like captains? But now it makes sense because you went to the Salvation Army.
Yes, the Salvation Army.
I see.
And I liked the people there too. I did, and it was just a lot different.
Good people.
Different message, that's for sure.
Yeah, good people, right?
Good people.
So what was their message? Like, I mean, I know that obviously it's probably, pretty close to the same when it comes to, our salvation through Christ. But what did they teach you about Sunday worship?
That was the day that we were supposed to worship, and that day primarily over anything.
So did they teach you that Sunday was the seventh day or Sunday was the Sabbath? What did they tell you about Sunday specifically?
That Sunday was the seventh day and that we worship on that day because that's the day that Jesus resurrected.
Now, do you believe that these people were genuinely do they genuinely believe that? Do you think that they were also kind of deceived, or do you feel like they were doing the deceiving? Were they honest, genuine type people who just misinterpreted the word, or did they seem like they were, kind of deceptive in if you were to ask them whether or not Sunday is really the seventh day of the week?
I feel like they were genuine. They really believed that was the day we were supposed to go. And so did I. Everybody that I knew believed that.
So when you first heard of the Adventist Church, what did you think? What did you think of the Adventist people and the beliefs of the Adventist Church?
When I first heard of the Adventist Church, I thought that they were exactly like the church I went to, except for they go to church on Saturdays and they're vegetarians.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit. And everyone says, "Oh, so you don't eat meat?" And I'm like, "What?" I don't eat meat.
I thought that. Yeah, no, I thought.
And I'm a vegetarian now, but that's just been within this last year. I've been a carnivore my whole life, but about a year ago, I stopped eating meat, and now I'm vegetarian, which I'm trying to go towards vegan, but I'm really struggling giving up the milk and cheese.
Yes, you are.
But yeah, I've heard that a lot, and they always say, "Oh, so are you like Jewish? You don't eat pork?" And
yeah.
I'm like, "Well, we don't eat pork, but we're not Jewish."
Yeah, I didn't even know what a Seventh-day Adventist was until I was 18? I think 18. Yeah, 18. But even then, not completely at all. Not completely.
So, what about the first time you went in to the Adventist Church? What was your experience like at the Adventist Church?
It was great. The first time I went was actually out in Missouri, out here in 2019 or early 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it would be early 2020.
Early.
Wait, hang on, no. I think it would have been 2019, right?
It was within the last 2 years? 2 years.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've been to one.
So, what did you think? What was the noticeable difference between going to the Salvation Army Church and going to the Seventh-day Adventist Church?
Well, most importantly, it was at the church I went to when I was growing up. It was a lot like it was structured very strictly. Like there was a certain time for everybody to shake hands and talk to everybody. There was a certain time to stand up and walk around. Everything was very structured, and it was a great church. It was just kind of intimidating to ask questions unless it was a time for questions.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Because maybe they were under that structure, like you have a time for asking questions. Outside of that, you don't do that.
Yeah, it was a good church, but everybody just kind of knew better than to, nobody would like stop mid-service and ask questions. We all just, we trust the pastor about, what he's saying, and we just go with it. And at the end, if you have a question, you find him privately and ask,
No, we question everything.
We question everything, especially.
So, I think that because you went to such a small Adventist church out here in Monette, and it's such, a really, really small group of people, that you haven't really got to see the structure of most, because Adventist churches actually really are structured. This church is not that we go to. It's because they only have like 5 members. There's not a lot of people there, but they actually have, you show up, 9 o'clock, and then, from 9 to 10, they'll have music. It may have changed from, the Adventist church that I went to in Somar, California, but, and then from 10 to 11, you go to Bible school, Bible study class. And then from 11 to noon, you listen to the sermon.
Yeah. Well, structure isn't a good or a bad thing. Neither one for me. I don't mind structure and I don't mind non-structure. I think it's just because when I went to church and when you're little, you don't really like structure.
Right. And you just want to do what you want to do when you want to do it.
That's probably why that memory of it being very structure-like is there, is because when you're little, you want to do, what you want to do. Yeah, we used to go to a hometown buffet after church.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a difference, because after church, we come home. We come to the hometown buffet.
Yeah, because we can't, buy hometown buffet.
There is even differences after we go home from church. And so that had to be something different, also. What was it like for you when you first started keeping the Sabbath? Because, obviously it's quite a big change.
It was hard. It was really hard because I was so used to using my Saturdays for shopping and for cleaning and for doing things that I felt like I needed to do. So it was really hard, and I got to the point where I almost resented keeping it,
And so what is it like for you now?
I love Saturdays.
Is
It's peaceful, and I don't have to do anything. I can just relax, and everybody can just, be relaxed, and we do Bible studies, and I look forward to it now.
So what changed that for you? Why was it so stressful in the beginning, and it was really hard and tough to keep, and then now it's like a blessing to you? Not to put words in your mouth, but
Well, it is. Probably because my face itches. Ow. Probably because I just wasn't used to keeping the Sabbath at all. I didn't, understand why we had to keep it, and my relationship with God probably wasn't where it should have been. And now that I feel like it's getting stronger, I see why we keep the Sabbath, and I don't see it as a job or a responsibility. I see it as a gift.
yeah, absolutely. Did you have to get used to the whole preparation day? Because now, preparation day, a lot of people don't even know what preparation day is. Preparation
day is, Friday. You prepare during the day to make sure you have everything you need for Saturday, and make sure that your house is clean. You have all the food that you need. You need to prepare on Friday so you don't break the Sabbath on Saturday. And when I first started preparing for the Sabbath, I broke the Sabbath unintentionally all the time by just minutes, or sometimes even a little longer. I would be running around trying to prepare things, but I've gotten better at it.
Before, it was like when you first started doing Sabbath keeping, you were thinking, okay, Sabbath's coming up, and now I don't get to watch TV, and now I don't get to listen to music. And what's your perception on that now? Well, how do you look at, TV and music on the Sabbath, as opposed to before? It was like, oh man, I really wanted to watch that movie, and now Sabbath's hitting, and I'm not going to be able to watch it tonight.
Well, now I see it as, I didn't realize before how stressful even TV could be. Like when you have TV on all the time in your house, and you are always going to the store and cleaning, you think that it's helping your peace of mind, but it's actually, when you turn that TV off, it helps you completely. I look forward to the silence of this house without TV and without noise, and having to get everybody ready to go in the car to go shopping. And it's just nice to relax, and
it's really hard to explain. And I'm really thankful that I get to do this interview, especially with my other half, because it's absolutely awesome to be able to interview the person that you're with, So I really like for other people to hear the perspective from somebody who didn't used to keep the Sabbath and didn't even know that the Sabbath was on Saturday, to now somebody who does keep the Sabbath, because so many people think that the Sabbath is a hindrance, and that the Sabbath, that it's a burden, even though God says that his commandments are not burdensome. So many people think that the Sabbath just drags them down as a burden, and it's really not. The Sabbath is a blessing. And once you start keeping the Sabbath and you get that peace from the Sabbath, your whole outlook on it changes. It's like you're waiting for that day to get here. You're waiting for a preparation day to get here, so you can go get everything ready, and you could turn off the TV and the music and shut all the calls out that you don't want to have, anything that's business related or of the world. And now it's just your time with God. And I've got to see this for the first time in my life, see the transformation of somebody who was not a Sabbath keeper to somebody learning about the Sabbath and understanding the Sabbath, and then see their transition to Sabbath keeping, which was an absolute blessing to be able to observe, because I was born and raised Adventist. So I've been in the Adventist church all my life. Now, I haven't been a good Adventist church member. I've strayed away from the Adventist church, and still claimed to be an Adventist, but was doing my own thing, and then came back. But it's awesome to see somebody go through that journey, to see somebody actually transform from somebody who doesn't know anything about the Sabbath to seeing the them feeling this hindrance from keeping the Sabbath, and then them absolutely love and cherish keeping the Sabbath. So I think that was pretty, that was really awesome. Now, what made you change your mind on the Sabbath? How did you come to know from Scripture about the Sabbath?
Well, once you read enough into the Bible and you actually, dig deep and pray for answers, you'll find it, and you won't see the Sabbath as a commandment. You will see it because when you first hear about the Sabbath, you think of the 10 Commandments and you think it's a commandment. This is what you do. And it makes you feel this pressure because if you're not close to God, you start questioning, but why? Why do I have to do that on that day? And that's even if you understand that Saturday is the Sabbath. But once you read and you realize that it's actually a gift and that God gave it to us because he loves us and he wants us to rest and be close to him. Once you realize the intent behind it, you just want to.
Absolutely.
Just want to. That's the way I see it is, I enjoy doing it because God knew we would enjoy doing it.
Is there any verses that people who advocate for Sunday worship, is there any that they use or try to use that kind of shakes your belief in the Sabbath? Is there anything that anybody has ever tried to show you in the Bible that has kind of made you think, oh, is this right? Or have your feet firmly planted in the foundation of the Sabbath?
No, I'm convinced that the Sabbath is Saturday and that we're to keep it. There is nothing that somebody can show me that would shake that belief that I have, because I have read many, many verses that people have sent me, others have sent me to kind of contradict the Sabbath. And every time that I've looked into everything, it does nothing but confirm my Sabbath keeping.
Taken out of context.
Taken out of context, yes.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome to have watched this from my perspective. I really am thankful that somebody has come into the Adventist Church that before had never stepped foot in an Adventist church, didn't know what Adventist church was, and then after sharing some scripture and taking you there to meet other Adventists, it completely transformed your life and changed your life, and that's all praise to God. God absolutely is the only reason that happened. Yeah, I think that we still have so much to learn and so much to grow, but it's exciting to be able to do that with you.
I love doing that with you too, and I watch you grow every day too, and I'm proud of you and all the ways that you're growing, and you teach me things not just every day but every second pretty much. Honestly, you teach me a lot, and you're doing, I think, a lot better than I am at absorbing it.
Oh, I think there's so many things you've shown me, and especially when you were reading in Kings recently, and you're like, hey, did you know about this? And I'm like, no, and you were telling me about it. So there's a lot of things and that you share. I think we study we're always on different topics,
We're never reading the same thing unless we do our Bible, our plan, but then we you go that way and I go this way, and then we come back and we meet in the middle eventually.
That's right. Yeah, I'm always studying the Old Covenant to the New Covenant, and you're always reading the interesting stories.
Yep, I like the interesting stories.
If you think 3 years ago, you wouldn't even want to crack open the Bible and read the Bible. So look at how much your heart has changed in the last 3 years, to the point where you like to sit down, you like to open the Bible, you like to read. So many people don't even want to read it, but it shows that how God can really have an impression on your heart and change your heart.
Yeah, I've always believed in God, but I just, like you said, before you're close to God, you look at that book and you think, man, that seems like a job right now. I'd rather do this, I'd rather do that. It's just, you look at it, unfortunately, like, a boring book. And, that's how I was for a very, very long time, up until, about 3 years ago.
And I'm so thankful, and I praise God every day that I've found you and that you've come into the Adventist Church, and I had a good time. It was fun interviewing you.
I did too. I just, I don't know, this was nerve-wracking, but also very cool.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching.